This is Power Athlete Radio. With your hosts, Denny K, Professor Booty, and the Luke Summers. And now, toes forward, hips locked, shoulders set, and retract those scapulars. It's time for some knowledge bombs.
Thanks for tuning in to Power Athlete Radio. This week, we talk with the man behind the man of Sorin. The second generation of the world-renowned strength equipment brand takes time out of his busy schedule to chat with the crew. Bert Sorin is more than an MS CEO. He's also a power athlete in his own right. Bert has been a competitive Highland Games athlete and specializes in hammer throwing. Aside from his notoriety as a solid businessman and strength advocate, he's a down-to-earth dude whose idea of fun is drinking beer and doing heavy snatch pulls in his underwear. Call it unusual, but Bert calls it Wednesday night. The guys take time to chat programming, movies, personal heroes, and the excitement of meeting lifting legends in the flesh. There's talk of JT and Jessica Biel, Red Dawn, and Howie Long, all in this epic hour of conversation. We should have known this was going to be a good one when Bert explained he always cracks a beer when he knows he's about to get down and dirty on some strength and conditioning. So here it is, episode 156.
Our Athlete Nation, what is up? It's that time again, the premier podcast in strength and conditioning. There's no podcast like it. Based off of our feedback, we need more structure. We have to stop talking. We should just shut the doors down. We should mute our microphones.
Yeah, we did. We got some feedback from the McDougal podcast we did, and the guy thought that all we should do is just ask him questions because he's a McDougal fan. That's all he wanted to hear. So what do? I forwarded him a link for the Super Troopers where it's like, but again, when they get the syrup in them, they got all Lindsay in the fancy.
Yeah.
Did he reply back?
Yeah.
He's like, great
clip. I'm like, here, honestly, it's free. It's like the people that complain about free shit. I'm like, it's not like we're charging you for admission. And we are supposed to be having a conversation where, it's just not one-sided.
Because I listen to those podcasts and they're just not.
Oh, fuck. Well, but it could be worse. It could be like Barbell Shrugged where they talk the whole time and the guest doesn't get a word in edgewise. Sorry, Barbell Shrugged. But hopefully we can actually get some good information, be funny, and contribute to the conversation, not just dominate the fucking landscape.
They call that infotainment, John.
Infotainment.
What is? Who calls that? What is that? Define immediately.
Simpsons quote. Information that's also entertaining.
Gotcha.
All right, so here's what we got going on the show today. We have our guest, Bert Sorin, on the horn. I guess he and Tex saw each other at the CSCA, or whatever it was, Tex?
Nailed it.
NTX.
So we've been trying to get him on the show. I'm glad we could finally find a time to get to chat. But Tex, why don't you give a little intro on kind of what went down, how you crossed paths, and then we'll get Bert going.
So what this was, it was a national convention for strength and conditioning coaches. So coaches that were involved at the collegiate level. I took their certification, and then after that, it was just 2 days of meet and greet, hangout, network. And Sorin was there just kind of putting on a show. Guys were banging weights. They were hanging out, shaking hands, and just took that opportunity to walk up and meet the man, the myth, the legend. So, Bert, I actually met you a few years back at University of Texas when you enlisted free labor from the interns to put together all the Erector Set, Connect, Sorin equipment for the Olympic weightlifting weight room. So you got about 12.
Yeah, I have a sniffer for free labor, so that worked out good.
Yeah, so I'm still waiting on that check, buddy, whenever get that chance. But
don't worry, Tex. On your deathbed, you will receive eternal consciousness. So you got that going for you.
And we'll receive some second spells or something,
Yeah, I mean,
Of course.
Well, Tex actually likes the really, really small center mass bells.
Mm-hmm.
That way, it's kind of like the DK burger.
For his little hands.
Yeah, for his little hands.
Right.
So
burgers.
Those actual little mini center bells, they're good.
Yeah, they have varied uses, but whatever,
Yeah, Bert, I mean, what if – here's what I'd like – maybe we get to know a little bit about you. Just give us the little 5-minute deal. But then also, if there's a soul out there who's, maybe only knows of one equipment provider like a Rogue or a Get Faster.
Well, here's the problem.
Tell us about Sorin.
Is a lot of people listening to this podcast are, familiar with, fairly inexpensive type stuff. But when you go into, legitimate NFL, college, collegiate, big time type programs that have unlimited budgets, there's only one person they call. It's Sorin.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, fuck. I guess you could either outfit garage gyms or there's fucking palaces that are dedicated to strength conditioning and single leg two ball squats.
The Mecca.
So,
Bert, give us a little background.
Well, I appreciate the commercial thus far. That's been awesome. And background on me and my company, and really, I hate to even use the term company, but I guess you got to go to work at some point. First of all, thanks for having me on the show. It's really, I'm looking forward to this. My father started a company in 1980, and it was basically because he couldn't find any good equipment out there that met his standards. So he's been a lifter his whole life. He was an Olympic lifter back in the 60s, and then a discus thrower was basically the highest recruited discus thrower in the nation that year, which was crazy because it was the same year as Mac Wilkins. So he and Mac were coming out roughly around the same time. And Pops went to South Carolina, not because he wanted to go to college, because he wanted to throw and lift weights, and he heard they had good hunting down here. So he's like, oh, sweet, I can go shoot deer. Awesome, I'll come. And didn't really know much about it, got down here and kept lifting, was actually kind of the first strength and conditioning coach at the university, as he was a lifter that came, when he came down, everyone said, you get muscle bound if you lift, 1968 kind of deal. And so he borrowed a car and drove back up to New Jersey and picked up his York barbell sets and brought them back down and taught everyone how to Olympic lift and squat, and built the first weight room at the university out of wood. He's a freshman. And so that kind of started off in the trajectory that's eventually turned into Sorin. And 1980, he kind of made an honest living of it and bought a little welder and started in our garage, laying on the carport and cutting apart steel and making it happen. So fast forward 36 years, we still keep the lights on and put food on the table, and a bunch of Super Bowl champions train on our stuff. So it's a good deal. And I get to talk with people like you. I get to train and get to try to change the world of strength and the world of performance. It's honestly, it sounds really cliche to say, oh, I get to do this as a job. It's so what? No, it really is. Like, I get to really actually do what I love to do. And every couple of weeks I get paid for it. It's pretty weird.
When it comes to like the strength training and strength training equipment, I kind of look at it like a car, right? Like when we walked into that Newport Harbor gym and it was all rusty, grungy plates, and it wasn't much.
You look at a car. Wait,
bear with me.
So wait, you're just going to wait to
bear with me.
Bear
with me. Yes, that's what I'm getting at. Okay. Is you can get strong and lift weights in like a grimy gym, and there's character to that because it gets you from point A to point B. And then there's like the mid-range Ultima where you're like, fuck, why the fuck am I buying Ultima? But I mean, you get to rip around in like a really nice fucking whip, like a Dodge Stealth.
I was going to say like an 86 K5 Blazer,
or just like a nice.
Yes.
It's like that is the equivalent of like training on like Sorin with like really nice fucking equipment. Is like you fucking enjoy it.
Well, I like my barometer for equipment is like if you go to rack the bar with let's say you got 500-600 pounds on it, you go to rack it, and as you fucking dump it into the hooks, the whole fucking thing shakes, and you're like have that split second like I hope this thing doesn't fucking fold like a taco. And then there's other things like obviously the Sorin stuff where you like go to like rack it with a whatever you have on there, let's say 500-600 pounds, and it doesn't even chip the stuff.
Uh-huh.
Then you're like, oh, all right, and then you look around and there's like 20 people all doing the same thing. I'll bolt down. I mean,
well, everything works with crappy stuff, right? Like if you're going light, I should say, going light or every once in a while, stuff from Sears is going to work, and that's what people have to realize. That people go, oh, 400-pound bench, this will hold it. Like, yeah, we'll do that all day long with athletes all day long that are $1 million athletes. You can't get them hurt. They have to get the highest rate of force development. They have to be the safest. They have to, and those are all a bunch of dudes that like cool stuff too.
Yeah.
They're the guys that want to walk into a weight room and go, oh, yeah, this is what I want. I mean, this looks like my car outside. And what we've seen now, it's really an arms race in the colleges, not so much the pros because they're paying those guys. You know how that works, John. But the colleges, that's really how they're selling these 18-year-old kids that want everything blinged out and pimped out. And we're doing stuff to racks that does it make them a better rack to get strong? I don't know. But if you could pull the best kid in the nation to come to your school, it was worth whatever it cost, right?
Well, I was went down and saw Kaz and those guys down at Baylor this summer, and Keith Canton, who's now the head guy for Indiana, he was one of the assistants that invited me down. I went out and worked with the offensive line, hung out with him a little bit. And, you walk in and, I hadn't been in, a proper weight room in a long time. And I walked in and I was like, fuck, they got a lot of wasted money up in this motherfucker. I mean, they must have had 12 pit sharks and not a single fucking person was using them. So I went over there and loaded that thing up and was just doing some walks and some waddles and some stomps. And these dudes are like, what are you doing? I'm like, you guys even use this? And they're like, no. I'm like, fuck, these things are fucking epic. You can do dips, you can do pull-ups. And I'm showing them how to use them. People are coming over. They're like, wow, they got excited. But I mean, just the, they had tendos on every station. And it's I think that people lose perspective on, and it's true. I mean, these guys are building these weight rooms, like you said, to attract these young recruits. I mean, they walk in and they want to see, these weight rooms. Ask Tex. You walk into Texas's weight room and it's the nicest weight room that produces the weakest fucking athletes. I played with Texas guys and not a single one of them could lift my dick on their best day. And yet they got an amazing weight room. So, but that's what people want. I mean, these guys have endowments, they got budgets. And like you said, dude, you're in an arms race. They want everything color coded. And these strength coaches, I sat in Kaz's meeting where they were going over their new facility and everything. And they were just Kaz is we have a budget and we have to spend every dollar. Any money that we don't spend, they're going to be upset.
We don't get back. Yeah,
we got to spend it all. And he asked me, he's like, what do you think? I was like, I think you should get some crowd chambers. I think you should get this. I'd get a fucking trapeze out back, maybe a live shark. And he's like, yeah, these ideas. That's, I can only imagine being in your situation where you have a school obviously that has probably a 10-figure endowment that comes in. It's we have to spend let's say $20 million to upgrade our weight room. What can you do for us? And you're like, yes, let's go.
Oh, well, yes, it's definitely the answer. But the problem then becomes, how do you make it better than the last guy? We did Auburn's new facility. It was 24 base camp racks, better than we've ever done. Uber rack, each rack, one was orange with blue accents. The next one was blue with orange accents. It was crazy. Every single rack had a lat pull low row on the back and a functional cable column on the back. They had 10 sets of dumbbells between 100 and 150. It was absolutely nuts.
What was the heaviest dumbbell they went up to?
150. Well, they had some hand loadable ones bigger than that, but the 150s were the urethane coated, engraved with the logo, the whole nine.
Oh, like the inner grips?
Yeah. So we go straight. I did the delivery Friday and Saturday. I'm driving home on Sunday. I'm in the car. Penn State calls. Hey, I saw pictures of Auburn. I said, yeah, they're pretty sweet, huh? They're like, can you be up here Tuesday? We got a budget. We flew up to Penn State on Tuesday. Walked in the meeting, AD, the whole nine, everyone's there. This is right after the Joe Pye era, and they were like, hey, we got to change this place up. And the conversation, we drew up the room, quoted the room, figured everything out within about 6 hours, and the deposit was put down 2 days later, and the only thing was whatever Auburn did, make it better. I said, it's only 48 hours old. That was the best we could do. They're like, figure it out. You got 8 weeks.
Did you make some off-color comments hey, I'm not trying to hear to Sandusky you or anything?
That's exactly the direction I went. Really, really professional. Perfect. Way to win friends and influence people.
Hey, dude, that's Dale Carnegie. I know all about. I have Tom Canavy and Mike Wolf, who are our strength coaches at Philly. We're Penn State guys, and dude, sure. I fucking ripped on them nonstop, especially Canavy. I kept hitting him up. I'm like, dude, so level with me. He's like, he never wanted to open up about any of that stuff. So I always make wise ass comments about it. But yeah,
of course you did.
It out.
Bert, the equipment allows for a lot of creative freedom from the coaches. So
Right.
you encourage them to come back to you with ideas that you then turn around and sell?
Right. Well, that's part of what I think we do better than anyone in the industry. And I think kind of something we pioneered was the rack or rig that is customizable by the customer. We were the first ones to do that, which basically changed the game and made where, we did custom equipment for 25 years before that, and a lot of other companies did as well. But the rack and rig system made where each customer could actually be the orchestrator of their custom gear. So by doing that, we've created kind of like an iPhone where then you just buy extra apps for your phone after that. And so that maybe people that are just getting into the CrossFit world or the strength world in the last 7 or 8 years thinks that racks and rigs always existed like that, and that's how they were. But obviously you guys have been around longer than that. And prior to 2007, 2008, there was no such thing as a CrossFit rig. That was something I drew up half drunk at out to dinner one night on a bar napkin. Like that was
you had pillars. I mean, I remember when I opened my own little downstairs, we had the Iron Mine pillars that were really just dip fucking bars that we had attachments, and that's what we used for the Iron Mine pillars. And I remember like squatting 600 pounds out of these things, and like you're loading it up, and you're like, "Is this thing gonna fucking fold?" And people are like, "Oh,
yeah, all those pillars
probably good. Those Bulgarians are strong."
Yeah, I mean, but like that was the irony is, and you guys listening, I mean, Bert and I are going to date ourselves. Like, if you wanted legit stuff, really, it was Iron Mine was the only place because there was really no Rogue, there was no CrossFit, and if you're going to open a garage gym, I mean,
that's it.
Yeah, I mean, that was basically the only mail order. I mean, unless you went to a Sorin and you had them come out, build, and custom deal. But if you I needed a rack that was movable, it was Iron Mine.
That was it. Yeah, Iron Mine, little catalog, great magazine. That was the standard of excellence of power sports. I mean, gosh, you know it as well as I do. I mean, I have every article or every Iron Mine issue ever printed, and that used to be the gold standard. Like if you got into Milo, you were doing something, and that's how what's that?
We still have 2 of their posters. We have the Razazade clean poster, and then we also have just the back sort of lifters as bicep sort of bodybuilders one where the dude's got fingers that look like
giant erectors. Yeah. That's a great one. I used to always like the Shannon Hartnett weight over bar picture too. That was always really cool because you figure 15 years ago there weren't a lot of girls that had quads like that. And just you could see the triple extension, and I've coached a lot of people off that poster. But that's beside the point.
You're like, dude, my strength coach in college, Todd Rice, used to coach pictures. Yeah, fucking Rice Patty. He used to. He had pictures of people like full extension, and him like his only. He used to take several points of the picture, and his only cue was, "I need you to pull the bar longer."
Yeah, exactly.
That was it. I remember being like, it's that simple. He's like, yeah, don't listen to any nonsense. Just pull the bar longer than you ever think you had to, and all that other shit will take care of itself. And then
apply force longer. Yeah. Because pretty much what it boils down to.
Yeah,
we have pictures. Yes, in my dorm room, I've had a picture of Pizarenko doing that snatch pull with about it was a little over 200 kilos.
Off the bench.
Had that since night. Yeah, sure. The one where he's in the sweet Speedos.
Oh yeah, no, that's good. That's I secretly think that's every strength athlete's dream is to one day be able to train in like a pair of like wool Speedo underwear and like some crappy fucking dress socks, and have people take a picture 40 years later and still be like, "Fuck,
that was awesome."
But hey, that dude is so fucking jacked and it's such a great mustache.
It's kind of a funny story. So we grew up fantasizing about that. So I got a chance to meet Pizarenko in 1995 at the year right before the trials. That was super cool. The guy looked like he just walked off the platform, still like super scary, the whole deal. So fast forward 10 years, we opened one of our Sorin X gyms that was like our home base. At the time, my dad was actually home. He had prostate cancer. He had a surgery, so he was kind of off the radar for a while, healing up. So I was working all day running Sorin X. I would go home. They cut off our internet because we had moved our building. So I was having to do all my emails from the kitchen in my dad's house. And I would run Sorin X all day by the phone. And then I'd go there to the gym at night and like put up drywall and move all this. It was just like one of those 6 months of hell. Just don't know where you are, just by yourself, just going, holy crap. So the day we moved into the gym, finally, I took the chalk bucket that was hooked onto our platform, and I dumped the chalk out. I put a bunch of ice in it, and I put beer in there. And I stripped down to all I had on was my socks, my Olympic shoes, and my underwear. And I put 140 kilos on the bar. And I told my buddy, I said, I'm going to drink this beer, and I'm going to do snatch pulls, triples at 140K until I puke in the parking lot in my underwear. And people were like, why are you doing that? I was like, because it's my gym, and I've always wanted to do this. And in my mind, I was Pizarrenko that day, and it was fantastic.
Nice. Did you just go to like burn a cork and like cork on a real fucking manly mustache, or did you already have the facial hair?
No, I didn't have a sweet mustache at that point, but in that mirror, I did. The mirror in front of the platform, man, I was jacked, and I had a sweet stash. But now I look back and think I'm a complete moron. But it was awesome.
You know what? It's those small moments in life that give you perspective on all the other bullshit. When you were talking about, like the hell, I was like, oh, kind of like having twin daughters, which was probably one of the darkest moments of my life.
Right. Darkest, exactly. My friend Morgan Luttrell, Marcus's twin brother, we were hanging out at CSCCA, and we were talking about kids, and he has a young boy, and I just had my third kid, my son Kodiak, 5 weeks ago, so I'm kind of still in that haze right now. And Morgan was talking about how his kid was colicky for like weeks and weeks and weeks, and how he was outside just raking the gravel one day just because he thought he was so beside himself and so crazy. But he was just outside just mowing and raking gravel. And the lady walks by his house, and she's like, I know you want to kill the kid, but don't, seriously. And it was like, yeah, I could see that.
The colicky baby. I actually we had a little boy exactly 8 weeks today. So
right on.
Yes, we had a little boy after I had twin girls. Congratulations to you too. And
hey man, you're a glutton for punishment, aren't you?
Well, we had twin girls, and my wife was like, we got to have another one. I'm like, no. She's like,
the worst idea ever.
Well, yeah, she's like, I can't believe that being a parent is like this. It was such a fucking awful experience to have, because they both ate every 3 hours, so we didn't sleep for like 45 minutes for like 3 months. It's just like so much
super anabolic.
It was terrible. I mean, I got gray hair. I had none before that, and all of a sudden, my wife's like, we got to try it again. It's got to be a better experience. And I'm like, fuck, we're gonna have another girl, and so. Sure enough, my wife gets pregnant, and like she comes back, and I was fully waiting. She's like, they say it's a boy, and I was like, I'm not buying it, not until I see him come out. And sure enough, we got a little boy, and he is. If we had a boy, first off, we probably I would have had about 5 or 6 of them if we could have guaranteed.
Exactly,
because about 5 boys is equal to about 1 girl. So no doubt, it's just. But yeah, no, I'm rating the haze too. I was supposed to be here at 6 a.m. this morning, and he was up till like midnight, and he was up at 2, and then I got up at 5 something when my alarm went off, and I set the alarm. I checked on him, and I was like, I'm just gonna lay down for like 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden I get a text at like 6:30, like, where the fuck are you? I'm like, dude, I don't know what the fuck happened. It's been like 2 minutes since I laid down.
What's great about like when John came in, he's like, it's a boy. And I'm like, oh, congratulations. And like, how do you know? And he's like, oh, well, we got the blood test or something. I go, how accurate are those tests? He's like, I don't know, like pretty accurate. So you Google it, it's like 99.9. I'm like, there's still 0.1%, bro. I'm like, don't pop the cork yet. At least it's not twins, right? You're like, definitely not twins.
Oh, fuck, dude. That twin thing was like out the gate was it was something special. So like whenever I meet people, like, that's so wonderful. We would have loved to have twins. I'm like, no, you really wouldn't have.
No, yeah.
It's fucking, dude. My poor wife, dude. She it almost killed her. She breastfed those girls exclusively for the first 6 months, and she like dwindled. Like I remember, like it just sucked her life force around, and then she got like a sinus infection every 3 weeks for like the next 2 years. And like I remember her being like, I'm so tired. I'm like, yeah, you fucking kids suck your life force away. God damn it. The fucking selfish little bastards. But it's It's a great experience. I'm not trying to turn anybody off from having kids, but it's...
Oh, no, having kids
and girls, if you're listening,
right.
10 years down the road, you're lovely. We love you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward, like, my oldest is 4, so, like, 4 to 10 is going to be awesome. So I finally got to the point where I like my kids. I mean, where you don't just love them, you actually start liking them. And so, like, 1 is just kind of tipped over that threshold into the liking standpoint, which is pretty awesome. But it seems like a whole lot of work for just a couple of years of really enjoying them before they turn into teenagers.
Yeah, my daughters are 4.5, and like sometimes I think they're 4.5 going on 16.
Oh, wow.
And like but the problem is there's 2 of them, so like they kind of feed off of each other, and it's like, and then they my niece is 7 or 8, and so they go over and play with her, so like. It's nonstop. Like I told my wife, I'm like, if we have to like move to the middle of nowhere where there's like no TV in winter and nothing, like somewhere in the middle of nowhere where we can like put up a log cabin and try to raise them like settlers or something without fucking.
Yeah.
So Bert, I'm going to bridge gap here because we're on kids. Yeah. Maybe people who don't have kids are like, fuck, fast forward.
Yeah,
this
sucks.
But let's keep talking here because I know John and I have talked at length, like the plan we have for his son in terms of like development. And we've got this multi-year template. Have you thought about that? Like, where do you see your kids going in terms of like sports, competition, training? I mean, I'm sure you're not trying to push them towards anything, but like, how are you holding?
Well, I'll give you a little bit of a background. So my dad, obviously, it was about into the iron game that you could possibly get. Like, for instance, there's pictures I have of him at like 6 and 7 years old going to kindergarten or first grade. And literally brought his barbell set with him to school for show and tell. When they asked, bring your favorite thing to school, and they thought that he would like bring a little doll or whatever. And the dude like put his barbell on his shoulder as a 6-year-old and took it to school. And he's 66 this year, and he talked to me the other day. He's like, Bert, I think the deadlift is going to be kind of hard this year. And just to kind of fill the blank, he's deadlifted 500 pounds since the time he was 15 years old. And he's done it every year. This will be the 50th year he's deadlifted 500 or more. Wow. So to be in it that long and to care about it that long, like that's the physical aspect of it is like, wow, that's really impressive. You're 65, 66 years old and you can deadlift 500 pounds. The other part is to be interested in anything at a pretty darn high level. Quarter ton deadlift is you're awake for sure. To do that for 50 freaking years, like I've seen dudes train and they're like in it 7 or 8 years, like, yeah, I'm kind of burned out. I'm like, burn out, man. I threw for 20 straight years. Mm-hmm. Like, what the heck are you talking about? Like, you're not even good yet if it's been 6 or 7 years.
Well, I also believe that, and this is purely just hoping, is like I read an interview where The Rock was talking about he got in the best shape of his life at 43. Mm-hmm. So, like, I secretly believe that
we're on our way, baby. We're on our way.
I still secretly believe like that like I'm still waiting to hit my peak. That my peak is still out there. If The Rock did the best shape of his life at 43, then like I haven't peaked yet.
Right.
So I'm still waiting to peak.
Sure. Hey, my dad hit his biggest lifts at 49. He front squatted 475 for a double at 49 years old, which is pretty crazy being 6'5". But anyway, so going back to that, so like when I was a kid, I would always have he'd make me little barbells and things like that, like out of wooden dowels and all this stuff. And I have pictures of me, doing jerks on when I'm like 5, which now with the advent of CrossFit isn't like crazy, but in 1980 that wasn't very common. And so kind of like that was one of those things. But also there's been kind of a tongue, not what you call it a joke, it's more of a challenge, that you're not a Sorin male until you could deadlift double body weight. So I think the first time I ever did it, I weighed 56 pounds and I deadlifted 112 and literally went the next day to school. And it was one of those write about your favorite moment of your life. And I remember standing in front of the class. And I think now, like the teachers must have just wanted to turn my dad in at this point.
No, I think it's completely different. No, and I'll tell you the perspective and why it's a different generation. First grade, Halloween, I went as a terrorist, and I was wearing I had pantyhose over my face, and I had a fake gun, a pistol in my pants, and I had like a fake like AK-47 Uzi looking thing. And my teacher laughed and thought it was hilarious.
Terrorist costume.
Yeah, and I was like, they were like, what are you? I'm like, I'm a terrorist. Pantyhose over my face and guns and a block.
That's
Now,
fantastic.
if you did that now, you're out. Man would be called, you'd be banned, parents would be arrested.
Sure. CNN.
I got patted on the head. So completely different. They probably thought it was
like,
great.
Oh, boys will be boys.
Yeah, boys will be boys. Who wants to lift weights?
Yeah. And I was like, and then my favorite moment of my life is when I surpassed my PR of 110 and I made 112 for double body weight. You know, it was like, I feel like when I look back, I'm like, I must just look like Ralphie standing up there like a complete weirdo.
That's awesome. No,
but so like going into it, like for my kid, I just know growing up around Sorin and growing up around me and my friends, I mean, because most of my friends are in the iron game, and my dad Pops, like, he's going to be inundated in it enough. His mom is from a big family. Like my brother-in-law is 6'7", 290, and so he's going to be a big dude regardless. So I just realized it's going to happen. I kind of joke people like, "You going to have him be a thrower?" I'm like, "No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like a thrower." Also super fun is really a whole lot of work to do something really, really technically that pays like hundreds of dollars if you're like really good.
100?
Hundreds. I mean, there are hundreds of dollars.
You might be able to get one Sorin plate.
Yeah, exactly. There's no way if I was a professional hammer thrower, I could have never bought my gear. So, no, I've joked. I was, obviously football or, part of me thinks baseball would be pretty sweet to hit the long ball, and you could do it for a long time, but I don't know. It's unfortunate that the stuff that I love generally doesn't pay very well.
Yeah, the baseball thing I kind of wrestle with because it's not really a sport.
But, like, Nate, who's like Mr. fucking Baseball, the guy we train with in the morning, I mean, he's got all the stats of, like, you get paid. It is the sport that gets paid the most per hour.
I fucking
per game,
agree.
Best benefits.
The NFL is terrible for benefits, terrible for pay, and they don't take care of their players. And the minute that you walk away, they pretty much wish you would just fucking die.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it's
really is the
NFL,
most fun sport you could ever play. I mean,
right.
Fucking baseball, like, it's so.
Yeah, that's. The business person inside me says baseball, but I'd still have a hard time thinking my kid just standing around. Although, again, it's really cool. I guess being a thrower, I like seeing stuff go far. And so I still have a fantasy about the long ball, right?
Yeah.
And but besides that, I think the rest of it would drive me crazy.
In high school, I don't know how it was for you guys, but I just don't remember a lot of the baseball guys picking up a bunch of chicks.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, the throwers pick up less. And that's a fact.
Well, no, I thought aren't the throwers usually always hanging out with like the track girls? Like I always remember the track girls.
Well, we're trying. It doesn't mean
that's called practice, John. They're just.
Ironically, I dated a girl that was a 400-meter runner. So she ran the 400 and the 800, and oddly enough, she didn't date any other track guys or track guys. So
yeah. See,
and you were the football player.
I was a football player.
Yeah.
Well, I allegedly played for the Lions when I was a thrower, and why I say that is because we went out to a bar one night, and all of us, we're pretty large at the time, and these girls, pretty hot girls, going through the store like, "Hey, what do you guys do? Do you play football?" And of course, trying to be honest, I'm like, "No, we throw." They're like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "I throw the hammer." And this other guy was like, 3-time Olympians, like, "I throw the shot." And they go, "Oh," and they walked off. And so after that, my buddy looks at me, he's like, "Dude, we got to play football." I was like, "Well, who do we play for?" He goes, "We play for the Lions. No one knows who plays for them."
That's actually pretty true. That's actually true. I was, dude. I was in Vegas with a bunch of guys, and we were sitting there at like some place, and this girl like comes over and was talking with us, and she's like, "Oh, there are these other football players here." And we're like, "Oh, really? Well, oh, cool." Didn't really think of it. And so the girl brought him over, and the guys like walk over and see us, and like she's like, "Oh, they play football too." And like one of my buddies kind of like gives like the Spock eyebrow because he realizes that these dudes don't play football. And the guy was like, "Oh, where do you play?" The guy's like, "Oh, I played tackle for the Giants." And like they look and like kind of look over, and I was like, "Oh yeah, what's your name?" You know, because it's such a small community, dude. I know exactly we're in my division. I know who plays. And the guy said, and I was like, "Huh, really?" Because we played you twice, so I didn't see you. Were you in practice? You know, and like you could see like the guys
backpedal.
And I like basically using a lie to pick up on the girls, and so
perfect.
Yeah, I was like,
I was hopefully that story wasn't going to mean that you and I met in Vegas and I was playing for the Lions at the time. I'm glad that worked out the way it did.
Well, the irony of that is I don't even think the Lions players tell people they play for the Lions.
They say they're shotgunners.
Hammer throwers.
They're lying about paying for other teams. So people, and like anybody who's like, "Oh, I play for the Lions," I'm like, "Really?" Because
there's no way.
Play for the Lions.
Oh, that's great.
That's funny.
You should have been a professional wrestler. That would have been a good one.
Yeah, that would have been pretty sweet. That was right in the Stone Cold Goldberg era.
Oh,
and,
dude.
Yeah, that was when wrestlers were killing it, man.
Now you're talking about Luke's era over here. You're going to get a fucking twinkle in his eye.
So I told you I was home the past week, and we had to clean out a whole bunch of stuff in my old bedroom, which is really just a storage room. And my mom has saved all of our VHS tapes that we would like always watch as kids. And one of them was I used to record WCW or WWE, and it was the first time Goldberg actually spoke.
No.
Because if you don't remember, Goldberg was like, came out, he was this hero, and he never talked.
Sure.
Run off, boom, finish him, spear him, and get out.
Boom. Yeah.
My dad and I loved Goldberg, and we freaking taped it. I still have that tape.
That's awesome. Goldberg was basically a reincarnation of Nikita Koloff with the Russian iron sickle from the 80s, if you remember that, John. Big traps, big butt.
Dude.
Like Pizarenko, basically.
Yeah, dude. Well, the irony is when I was obviously a fan of that, and when I went to the NFL, I was buddies with Jay Glazer, and we went out. I went out to the Barrett Jackson, and Jay was like, "Oh, you can stay at my house," and Goldberg was there too. And I stayed at Jay Glazer's house.
Just me and Goldberg.
And so Goldberg and I are cruising around, like hanging out the whole weekend at
That's
the Barrett Jackson.
And is he like in WWE?
No. He had retired. Like he does car stuff. But,
yeah.
It was pretty epic. Like I remember we were sitting at like Glazer's kitchen like island, and he was talking to me about like not only like the business, but like when he was training, and like he's like, man, I was like, dude, you were in fucking phenomenal shape. He's like, yeah. He goes, it was fucking hard. I'm like, why? He's like, dude, I was having to eat like 7,000 or 8,000 calories a day. And he goes, man, it was just like a full-time job. And like the hard, like he's like, wasn't talking about the wrestling being hard. He's like, honestly, he goes, people talk about wrestling being hard. Never fucking played football at a high level. He goes, dude, honestly, it was like, you warm up, you run out there, you get out. He's like, it's not that fucking hard. He goes, people make it sound. He goes, the worst part is the travel. But he goes, it was the food. And he goes, having to source that much fucking food to stay that big and that lean. So
yeah, gosh, because man, he was an amazing specimen for that period of time. Just amazing. Talking about an island in the kitchen, kind of another stupid story. 2002, 2003, Howie Long called me and wanted me to put a weight room in his house for his kid, Chris, back when he was like 16 years old. So Howie, have you met Howie? Great dude.
Yeah.
Super. I mean, just talk about his specimen, right? So he's like, hey, just come over and help me out, and we'll put his stuff in. So Howie himself is like helping me carry pallets in his house and put together this equipment. This is awesome. So I'm training for the trials at that time, and he's like, oh, what do you do? We kind of start rapping about training and athletics and stuff. Somehow we get on the conversation about jumping, right? So I have a pretty good vertical jump, especially when I was younger. And I would have this kind of shtick where I could jump pretty much onto just about anything that was humanly possible to jump onto. And I would use it all the time for free drinks and bars, because we would kind of rope it up some people, and I'd stand around and we'd do the whole big drinking thing, and I would jump on the bar. Well, so I'm telling Howie this as stories, and so he gets all fired up. And so we're in his kitchen. His wife is making the sandwiches and lemonade. He's like, you think you could jump on the island in my kitchen? This is like high, like marble kind of deal. Like, yeah, I could jump up there. He's like, do it. I'm like, I'm not going to jump on your island in your kitchen with my shoes on. He's like, come on, do it. I'm like, all right, fine. So I jump up there, and he's like, yeah, that was awesome. And then so he starts to do it. And he and his wife almost get in a fight. in the kitchen because he had to prove to me that he could do it, and she wouldn't let him because he was a bit older. And then so this goes back and forth, and then finally he relents and she's like, she wins. And as we're walking out of the room, he looks at me like a little kid. He goes, I could have done it. It was awesome. It was so awesome seeing just that competitor inside of him. He was so pissed off that he didn't get to show me his toys.
Where was he living? Didn't he live down in Virginia or something?
Yeah, he was in Charlottesville. He's right there, right near University of Virginia.
Yeah. I remember he moved out there after he left the Raiders. But no, I grew up in LA and was a Raiders fan, and I remember watching Howie Long play, and still to this day, I believe he's probably one of the best ever to play. I mean, I was fortunate. I got to play what I view as kind of the golden era of football before it kind of got neutered the way it is now. But there were some guys that I really wanted to play against. I mean, I would have loved to have played against Reggie White. I just, kind of missed him. I mean, he retired in 2000, and my first year was 99, so I didn't really get a chance to play him. I mean, Howie's another one. So I mean, there were some guys that were, because as an athlete that was playing football, the only way you can really ever measure yourself is against the best players. I mean, they love to do that. I was just on Facebook, and the NFL had a deal where Ray Lewis, the best defensive player in the last 20 years. And I'd look at that shit. And of course, I was like, fuck this. And I went on and commented. And I was like, are you guys fucking trolling? Because this is bullshit. Ray Lewis is not the fucking best player in the last 20 years. I wouldn't even list him as the best middle linebacker in the last 20 years. But that's because I love playing against Ray, because Ray never wanted to hit an offensive lineman. He only wants to hit a fucking running back and run around and fucking dance before the game. But you know what? Howie was one of those guys that, dude, his get off was so sick. He had the ability, and I know what he did. He watched the quarterback, and the minute that he saw the quarterback's head move, he fucking moved. And he just, those guys were unbelievable. So seeing his kids play, and they're all pretty good players, but unfortunately, and I think it was one son's an offensive lineman. I think he just signed with
he used to be on the Bears.
He's played for the Bears, but I think he just signed somewhere. The Rams, maybe he's at, or something. And then the other kid, but
Kyle and Chris.
The hard part though is, and we're saying this, but both of his fucking sons play in the NFL, but there's guys that play in the NFL, and then there's guys like Howie Long that sit, to play at that level when, fuck, dude, he's phenomenal. Yeah, he interviewed me years ago when I was when he was doing obviously his commenting gig, but he would actually go in and do kind of the breakout media stuff, and he interviewed me, and I remember I was sitting there, and it was like, I'm a big fan of yours, and and he kind of told me, I was like, yeah, a little bit. He was one of those guys.
Well, Howie Long, dude.
Yeah, I think I was in my second year, and he's in there asking me about all this stuff, and I'm like, I can't believe fucking Howie Long's asking me these questions. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of
cool.
Yeah, that was one of the cool deals. And then I always tell these guys the other big welcome to the NFL moment was when Junior Seau ran past me like I was standing still, and then jogged back and patted me on the butt and told me, "Don't worry, you'll get him next time, little guy," or something. Kicking a fucking rock across the field. So,
Bert, let's go. I want to go back kind of on the same subject. So you went to Howie Long's spot and put out, I'm sure, this bitchin' little private gym for his kids. Most of the build outs we hear about are these big schools, big time programs coming in. What are some of the, and maybe you don't want to name names, but what are some of the craziest private spaces you've put together?
Well, Gus Brooks has bought from us twice. He bought from us back in 92, 93 when he was really popping, and then I think you probably remember he got divorced, so I think he kind of lost that in the settlement, so he had to get another weight room. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, he wasn't really too worried about it. Justin Timberlake, he and Jessica have our stuff in Base Camp Rack in their house, which I really appreciate. A guy that's not known to be a big dude, or known, he's kind of a more actor entertainer, and I'm friends with his strength coach, and he was like, yeah, man, Justin loves doing snatch pulls. I'm like, respect. I love it.
That's my guy Timbo. That's my guy Timbo.
I thought you were going to say that he doesn't use it. Jessica Alba used, or Jessica
Beal.
Yeah, because she was in pretty good shape. In that,
right.
I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry.
Right. And she was my buddy trained her. Yeah. Right. And that's because he trained her like a sprinter, which is, goes right back into, what you guys are all about. She was one of the first actresses that wasn't trained like an actress. And,
she looked great. So I thought you were going to say used it. I can't really see Justin Timberlake fucking banging weights. I mean, not to say he doesn't, but I never really.
I was surprised.
I have faith.
I was surprised, but that was something that it really made me feel good inside to know that there were some Hollywooders and some entertainers that were actually getting good gear and banging weight. And there was.
Do they live out in LA? They live out here?
Yeah. Actually, a friend of mine, Jason Walsh, who runs Rise Movement over there on Melrose. He trains a bunch of those guys, and he does some personal training for them, and he's trained those guys for 7 or 8 years.
Wow.
And they're right out there in LA, man. But dang, they killed it. And
so, do you know, Bert? Do you know what Timberlake's putting on that bar for those snatch pulls?
I don't. I wish I did.
Send out a text. Let's figure that out. Let's see what Timbo's.
Dude, I'm thinking like no more than 40 kilos.
Oh, he's a 100-kilo guy. For snatch pulls.
I bet you fucking the underwear that Bert was wearing when he fucking did those snatch pulls and fucking threw up, that he deadlift fucking 140.
All right, fine. Text, hey, tweet at Timberlake. Let's find out what his snatch pull is.
Just be like, yo, Timberlake, what do you deadlift?
All right,
I love it.
I love it. We'll see what happens.
I mean, he only has, 7 or 10 million followers, so I'm totally sure he'll get the Power Athlete fucking
He's like, oh, sweet, someone finally asked.
Awesome. I'd be like, oh, well, The Rock tweeted at him, so I guess I might as well.
Dude, The Rock did tweet at us.
What do you got about that?
John Us. I got the celebrity tweet back magic. So I'll take the hand here.
I know. Even though I wasn't involved in that tweet, I feel like it's like a group effort to tweet.
Right. So, I mean, Bert, to give you a little background, Tex and I were on a flight to Argentina for a CERT CrossFit football seminar, and we watched all Rock movies on the way down, and then tweeted at him that we were doing some incline dumbbell pressing, bridging off of a tractor tire. And it's like, what would The Rock do in Argentina after watching 6 Rock movies? And it was like, smash some dumbbell incline press, and then he just tweeted back at us 5 minutes later. He's like, "Get it,
yeah, win!"
And so we fucking printed out the tweet, and we have it framed on our wall of frame. And
your office is exactly like ours.
Yeah,
that's so funny.
The simple things are
a riot.
If you can see back here on the wall, we have I went to this charity gig.
Might be small, but
yeah, I went to this charity gig and they had a big live auction, and unfortunately it was open bar, and I got fucking shit faced. Shocker. And
it's not really unfortunate, but
yeah, it was, the unfortunate part was
the purchases.
All of a sudden I went around and I realized that there were some really killer pieces that people weren't bidding on, and I was fucking pissed about it. You can spot I have the David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust autograph. I got
nice
Ozzy's one over here, and then I got another Black Sabbath. Nobody was bidding on them, and so I fully write these outrageous amounts and bid on all this crazy shit. And I remember I come home and I had it all, and I was like, "What the fuck am I going to do with this?" And so my wife had them in the garage because that's where you put all the stupid shit that you buy that your wife doesn't want you to put up. And then into the office, and then we get to look at them every day.
Perfect. Sounds like a win. That's awesome. Hey, I got a question for you. What's your favorite movie?
Oh, dude. I mean, honestly, right now what's on top of my mind is Super Troopers from that YouTube thing we watched.
We love Super Troopers.
Yeah, that's a hard one to beat.
All time?
That's a hard one.
I mean, I'd probably have to go with Caddyshack.
Yeah.
Just, I think Caddyshack and Fletch, I have this theory that if you watch those movies enough, you can actually develop a sense of humor because, that'll actually teach you about timing, how to be funny.
Sure.
And if you don't know how to be funny, just fucking steal those lines and you can probably make it through. So
just integrate those into conversation every once in a while. No. You're like, hey, that's hilarious.
Yeah, all the time. It's how do you measure yourself against other golfers? Well, by height. I mean, just totally change those one-liners. At the seminar, we tend to use a lot of Fast and Furious. That's really dominated our landscape for a long time.
Gotcha.
Yeah, a lot of Super Troopers.
I've been trying to sneak some Ghostbusters original in there.
Ooh, okay.
How about you, Bert? What are you thinking? What's on top of your head right now?
I don't know. There's I don't even know if I'll call it my favorite movies, but they're ones that, if you're flipping through on a Saturday and you're like, crap, this is on, well, there goes 2 hours. And I've always loved Red Dawn, the original.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean,
I refer to those.
That just gets me. I will cry every time watching Red Dawn. I've seen it for 30 years.
His brother on the swings. Yeah.
He and Maddie. Come on, man. Like that's man stuff.
It's the I call that the fucking Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, Shawshank.
There you go.
Where it's like no matter where you are in the movie, if you turn it on and you see it, you're like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm watching Shawshank Redemption. I did a seminar. And we flew into LA, and I drove home. And I got home about midnight, and I like just sat down and I like turned on the TV and like wife, kids, everything. And all of a sudden, I see like the opening fucking scene of the bus pulling in with Andy Dufresne, and I'm like, and I like cracked a beer. I got some chips out, and all of a sudden at like 1:30, I see my wife come like walking out. She's like, "Are you still up?" I'm like, "Yeah, Shawshank Redemption's on." She's like,
come on, he's almost out.
Drink all those beers? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, sure did. And I ordered stuff off QVC.
Picture in picture.
Yeah, no, don't worry, dude. I got a pizza coming. It'll be fine. No, it was that's the Shawshank Redemption fucking deal.
I've had to have been in a hotel at a cert. Like we'll come back after dinner on Saturday and just flip through it, and then there you go, fucking AMC Shawshank. I'm like, son of a bitch. And Tex is like, oh God, just rolls over, and I'm up there fucking watching good old Red and Andy. It's the best.
Sure. Or even you throw a Forrest Gump, the same thing happens. You're like, oh man, Bubba's about to die. Crap. Here we go.
Yeah. As soon as you see that, like the feather floating, you're like, all right, what am I doing for a couple hours?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, right. I love it. Yeah, that's the good stuff, man.
Yeah, I'm big. Also, Predator, like the original Predator, big
sure thing.
And then
also, thing. I appreciate it more than I did as a kid.
Oh yeah.
What was the God? One of my other, and I know you've seen this. You probably actually have it on VHS or DVD. But what was the crazy ass training movie with Ricky Bruce?
Oh, The Soul is Greater Than the World.
Oh my God! Like to me,
yes.
I don't really know, like, other than, obviously you or like Matt and a couple of the thrower guys that I've met over the years. But to me, that is like the epitome of not only training, throwing, compulsive insanity. You know,
never.
Yes.
So Ricky Bruce was he was a
must watch.
Yeah, he was a thrower from Finland,
Sweden. Yeah.
And they came and they filmed a movie of his training that is by far the most insane thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's probably on YouTube. It's like at one
There's parts and pieces of it on YouTube, but you really gotta appreciate it. Get dark room with all your big thrower buddies or lifter buddies. Buy a bunch of food, a lot of beer, and don't go anywhere and read subtitles on it.
Dude,
it's 4.5 stars on Amazon, and they price it at $32.
I have the movie. I'm pretty sure I have it somewhere on either my computer or this one at home. And I sat and watched it one night. Like, there's a scene where he's, I think he's doing push jerks in like this fucking gym, and he basically throws the bar up, and it's fucking heavy. I mean, it might be like 160, 180 kilos. He throws it up, and it goes through the fucking ceiling, and the whole ceiling, like the lights, everything comes down, and he's so fucking like wired up on like, drugs,
everything.
Okay, yeah, I mean, like every steroid and upper downer all arounder shit that you fucking could find, and like he's fucking kicking the bar and like screaming. It's impressive. It's intense.
It's amazing. Yeah, it shows you get muscle biopsies. He was bench pressing on that Alico pneumatic machine. It like runs up to 300 kilos, and his face explodes and blood starts flying out. That was great. It's a fantastic movie.
He's also training because like the darkness in Sweden, like it's dark for and he's like it's basically like him running in the snow. He's wearing like a wool sweater. And and he's training in this fucking wool sweater. It's like late 70s, early 80s, just insanity of this movie. And so like whenever I think of throwers, I'm always like, Ricky
Bruce. Yeah. In 1995, one of the Canadian throwers brought that back for us, and I was like a sophomore or something. And that literally, basically, we had a rotation. It was the Ricky Bruce movie and Full Metal Jacket. And Tombstone were like on a 3-night rotation, and it completely makes me understand why I am the way I am now in life. and why I threw the way I threw, which literally I remember being just so fired up and pissed off, pulling clumps of my hair out in between throws. I was so mad. And I look back and I go, what a freaking weirdo. What a psycho. And I'm like, all right, I watch Ricky Bruce and Full Metal Jacket every night.
Yeah,
makes sense.
You get toned down with Tombstone.
Where did you go to school?
South Carolina.
Wait, with South Carolina? So I went to Berkeley, and my roommate my freshman year was this super highly touted center. I mean, he was a fucking all-world, like that. I think he was the top center that year in the U.S. and decides to go to Berkeley. And so they pair me up with a roommate. So he had probably about a 10-inch by 12 or 12-inch by 12-inch like cube TV. Remember they had like a VHS like TV one. So he had that, and he had 2 movies. He had Rodney Dangerfield's Back to School, and he had Top Gun. And those were the only 2 movies he had. So he set it up in the living room, and I would get up in the morning. I'd go get something to eat, get on my bike, go to class, and he would like go eat, and he'd go back to the room, and he would just start fucking smoking pot and get high as a fucking motherfucker and watch those 2 movies. And so I knew how far along he was based on where the movies are. And to this day, I've probably seen those movies collectively. The entire year, that's all he watched. And like, so I know wherever you are in the movie, you can drop me in. I'll basically go word for word on the end of it. And he would just sit there, and I'd walk in. I'll be like, back to school, and I'd sit down and watch it with him. And he'd get high, and he never went to class, and that's what he did. So it was.
That's what he did.
It was pretty good.
Great. Yeah, I get it, man.
Yeah, oddly enough, he didn't really make much of himself.
Really weird.
No class, just watching 2 movies.
On a 12
steady diet of weed and Rodney Dangerfield. Imagine that.
Yeah, I remember one day he somehow, I don't know where he got it, but he came back with this like 7-foot bong, and he was like, he's like, hey dude, and like he was like, you know, I've been waiting for you to come home. I'm like, why? He's like, well, I can't reach and light it, and I was like. So I was like, this fucking guy. So I remember I bought him a match light, like a real long match light. I was like, here you go. You don't need me anymore. You can fucking rip your mask.
We don't have to be friends anymore.
Oh, he was the worst, dude. He didn't really shower. He didn't ever do his laundry. He just like such a bad roommate. And at that point, I was like, I'll never have a roommate again. So that was the last roommate I had.
Yeah, well, there you go. That sounds like a pretty bitchin' dude.
Oh yeah, he's a great guy. But yeah, no, that was you know. But shit, it sounds like we went to college right about the exact same time. So I
I graduated in '99 from South Carolina.
Yeah, no, yeah, dude. I graduated in I graduated in college in '98, and then I did my master's, and my first year in the NFL was '99. So
gotcha. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So take us through a journey here. So you grew up in that, and you know, the iron game, your old man slinging iron around. And then as you took this thing into being a thrower, did you change up your training? Did you have any influencers outside of your old man? Like, how did you?
Yeah, sure did.
As an athlete, what were those moments?
Okay, well, I guess really how I got on to South Carolina, I'll keep this story rather short, but it's a pretty good story. So I came to South Carolina. I was going to go to Appalachian State because I wanted just to basically lift some weights, chase chicks, and go like rock climbing and like kind of like, I wouldn't say a hippie, but more like just like a wilderness dude. So like my mindset was like snowboarding, camping, hunting, all that. So I ended up going to South Carolina for a semester just because I had screwed off and didn't get my application in time at App State. So I go to South Carolina. I drink for like the first 6 or 7 days and just ride my mountain bike around chasing chicks, completely, you know, doing that thing. So like 5 days or 6 days into, I called my dad. I'm like, hey man, I need to get a lift in. Didn't you do the weight room down at South Carolina? And he's like, yeah. I said, could you call the guys down there, the coach, and see if I could get a lift? He's like, sure. Calls me back, said, hey, you know, they said you could come like at 5 or 6 o'clock after all the athletes have left. And, you know, I said, okay, fine. Well, of course, I'm like 17. I forget what he said. And so I just get bored and I'm like, all right. So I just go on down there. Well, I show up. And if you've been in a college scenario before, you realize how ridiculous. I show up at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon the first week of school when every freshman literally at the whole university is in the same weight room. So I just cruise in and I go over to the platform. I start doing some cleans. And I'm kind of walking around like, this is kind of bitching, you know. I just got this sweet weight room. I didn't have to ask anyone. I'm just kind of doing my thing. And so I look over and they're doing these vertical jumps. I'm like, man, that looks cool. I've never got to do that. So I walk over and the guy's like, what's your name? And I'm thinking, okay, I got to I'm interested enough in this to figure out, I want to get this tested, but I don't want to like actually have to do anything. So I asked the guy, it's like, I tell him my name, he measures my height, all the crap. I hit it 29.5. He's like, hey, that's pretty good. I'm like, okay, thanks. I walk back over and keep doing cleans. And so a little while later, they're doing body fat testing. I'm like, that looks cool too. So I'm interested in all this. I walk over and I'm like, hey, if you're getting free body fat readings, I'm down. So walk over, and got to take into account this time I'm 6'2.5", 172 pounds. Not exactly a brute, you know. So walk up, pull up my shirt. The guy goes to do the calipers. And he said, okay, what sport? And I'm like, oh, crap. You know, I'm kind of found out. Like, I got to go back and do my thing. I said, well, kind of stumble around. I said, well, I'm thinking about being a thrower in the spring. I'm going to walk on. He's like, really? And he said, well, how far did you throw? I was like, well, I wasn't very good. You know, and he said, well, how far? And I said, like, 45 feet and 132 in the disc. And he's like, yeah, that's not very good. And he kind of started busting my balls. He's like, that's not very good. I was like, yeah, I know it's not good. I told you it wasn't. He goes, well, I'll see you tomorrow. I'm Larry Judge. I'm the throws coach at University of South Carolina. And I'm like, oh, crap. You know, I basically kind of lied to the wrong guy, the one guy on campus that could call me on it, right?
Yeah, right.
So I'm like, oh, okay. So I said, well, coach, okay, cool, man. Well, isn't this spring sport? And he's like, son, you're in college now. It's year round. I'm like, oh, okay. So I said, well, I'll try to make it. He goes, no, if you're going to be on the team, you will make it. So I'm like, fine. So I go back to the dorm room. I call my dad. I was like, hey, took that workout. He's like, how'd it go? I was like, I think I'm on the track team now. And he's like, what? I'm like, I don't know, man. And I was like, he goes, what are you going to do? I said, I'll go out and see what it's all about, and I'll try. So went out there, and, fast forward, Larry Judge, I didn't realize I was walking on to one of the best throws programs in the nation. We already had 2 Olympians on the team, multiple All-Americans. I'd never met an All-American, much less knew what they were. And so basically got on the team, worked my ass off, and 5 years later, I was 4-time All-American, team captain, SEC champion, and then went on to throw 5 years professionally. So kind of crazy how it works when you find someone that'll actually believe in you and pushes you really, really, really hard. And Larry Judge was that guy that told me I could actually be good, but basically busted my butt every day to try to run me off, and it didn't work. So I ended up getting good.
So then, what would you say that attributed to? Was it was he able to improve upon your technical abilities? Do you think
sure.
With like a higher base level of strength, lifting weights as a kid?
Yeah. I think I was wired. I'm genetically pretty wired for sound, but he was able to put 30 pounds on me between August and Christmas the first year, basically through a lot of heavy squats, and just he moved my hang clean from a hang clean to the floor, and just used a lot more muscle. Of course, I was growing up, and just really he immersed me in a group of people that were all just boiling for success. And I'd never been around that in my sport, in throws. So I just kind of limped through the whole deal and didn't even know those things were out there. So, but when I got a taste of it and realized that, oh, these people that I'm hanging out with every day, they're going to this thing called the Olympics and this next summer in Atlanta. That sounds awesome. I want to do that one day. And it was almost like I tell people my athletic career that most people get that excitement that they start when they're like in T-ball and they're like little kid, Pop Warner League. I had all of that excitement going into college sports. So all through 18 to 22, I was like the super annoying kid that trained really, really, really hard and try to do everything right and try to do all the extra workouts because I was still so excited about it. Because I just, every day it was intoxicating because I got stronger and bigger and better every single day. Like I'd go like an entire season and PR almost every meet because I was just loving it and I was just really learning. So, I have to thank my parents for good genetics, but then I have to thank great training partners and a great system that basically gave me a chance to stick around when they certainly shouldn't have, because I really, really sucked getting there. I mean, there's no reason they should have kept me on the team. But a couple of them, I guess, saw something in me. So that's kind of how that worked.
You had your sport coach who was also in control of all the strength training too?
Yeah. That was kind of the funny part was our throws coach, he still speaks to this day at a lot of NSCAs and stuff like that. He's a fantastic weight room coach. And it just so happened, again, through pure luck, that the one guy I would introduce myself to inadvertently turned out to be the sports coach and the weightlifting coach. And he trained the crap out of us, man. We had one day, now these aren't the lowest squats in the world, but one day we had 4 women squat 405 for 5 on our team. You know, that's pretty freaking solid for mid-90s chicks that, you know, you don't see that every day. And we had a multitude of throwers, girls that were snatching 200 pounds, benching 225 for 6, 7, 8 reps. You know, those are strong girls. And we kind of had a, you know, if you weren't cleaning over 140K, which was still pretty heavy back then, as a male, it was like you weren't even trying on our team. So we had a very, very strong team. He believed in get us fundamentals and then just get brutally strong. And that's where I learned a lot of what I now know, or that was the basis of my power production training, and learning how to really triple extend, pull really long, push really hard through the floor, the rate of force development. And that's where all that came from, is those early days with Larry Judge.
So then is that the training that you, or the training style or practice you just kind of continued past college as you went into kind of the other sports that you hit?
Yeah. Well, after Judge, I had Mike Sargent for a while. And then I don't know if you've heard of Judd Logan. He was a 4-time Olympian in the hammer throw, who was, he was actually, I believe it might've been Charles Poliquin's first Olympian thrower back in the 80s. And so I was getting workouts from Judd through the early 2000s. And that really opened my mind up to time under tension and doing some contrast training. And we were trying a lot of that stuff out, but a lot of stuff would almost be considered triphasic training now. I was getting programmed and doing that. And so, as you well know, being a student of any event that you're interested in, I'm sure you did it as well, John and Luke and Tex, like much like you're doing now, you're trying to deconstruct greatness and find out how this all works. So burning a ton of gas, driving everywhere I possibly could, train with every great group I could train with. If someone was going to the Olympics or winning nationals, I was on their doorstep trying to learn from them. I'd pay for dinner, I'd pay for beers, and I would stick around on Sundays, and we would go train, and we would travel, you know, everywhere together. And so I was able to travel and train with guys like Adam Nelson, Reese Hopper, Bro Greer, Brad Snyder, you know, some of the if you're a thrower, you know these names, John Godina, and basically just immersed myself in that and just chased greatness until I was in that pack. And that's what I think people have to realize. Like, that was before YouTube, man. That was before blogs and podcasts. And the old days was you got your ass in the car, you drove wherever you needed to drive, you hung out, and you just picked people's brains, and you tried the stuff the next day, and you screwed it up, and you screwed it up for a couple months, and then you went back and got your ass kicked, and you tried it again. And then 10 years later, you're pretty good at it.
Imagine, I mean, it's such a crazy idea that if you really wanted to learn something, that you actually physically had to leave your mom's basement,
make an effort
to go and learn it, that you just merely can't shoot an email to info.
No, see, I'll just Google it. I'll figure it out.
Bert, I Google that for you.
Oh, fuck, dude. Part of the love-hate relationship I have with what I do right now is I love working with people and helping them, and the other part I really hate is working with people and helping them. I got an email, and actually I'm going to pull it up and read it just because I figured you would love this. So I got an email.
Which one is the 15-year-old?
Yeah, from the 15-year-old. So I got an email from a 15-year-old kid today who said, his name's Jerry, and said, hi, I'm Jerry. I'm currently 15 years old and a sophomore in high school. I'm currently in a slight of a dilemma, and I want your opinion. I want to play football this year for my school, but at the same time, I want to focus on building my body and starting to get tone to my muscles. I want to do CrossFit football and that, but I don't know how to balance them both. What are your thoughts? Thank you for reading this.
He's polite.
Well, he's very, very, very nice kid, but here's the problem.
Sure.
Like, you know, I started, like, and you guys have heard this, I'm sure people have heard me. I started banging weights because my older brothers were big and strong, and they told me, you know, if I wanted to be cool, I had to play football. So you show up to go play football, and there's a weight room, and I go lift weights, and everybody was stronger than me, and I fucking was humiliated that I was weak. And at that point, I was like, I'm going to get fucking strong. So you know what? If I got to do this, And I really didn't have a goal other than I just didn't want to be the weakest person in the weight room.
Yeah, but see,
Yes.
also back then, like, what were the advertisements at a 14-year-old kid? Like, we talk about these bullshit images of vanity, that kids are just chasing now.
Well, but so like Bert, thank God I have somebody that actually knows what I'm talking about. But there was no internet. I mean, there was no
there's still commercials.
Well,
after school specials about jocks beating up their girlfriends.
Well, I was telling Luke that there was on TV, we'd come home and you watch TV after school before my mom would yell at us, and then we would fucking leave because if not, we had to help. But I remember one time there was these after school specials that were supposed to be educational, and one of them was this jock guy who was trying to go out for the football team, and he starts taking steroids. And then he gets bigger and stronger, and then he's having rage. And he beats up his girlfriend, and it was
remember that.
So that was the one, and there was another one about the kid who goes to a party and has a beer, and then the next scene is him stealing beers out of his parents' fridge, and then the next one is he's in a gurney at the hospital. It was in 3 days, which is really
just a real
that's all right.
I
wish I saw that one.
Right. So but there really wasn't any type of vanity or really kind of programming for it. My only I guess there was one, and I remember it clear as day. The day I decided that I was going to lift weights, we were at the beach. Oddly enough, grow up here, and I was at junior lifeguards, and I was probably 12 or 13, and there was a program that they've had in California forever, and it's basically during the summer, kids, and I think I started when I was 9, it's a lifeguard prep program, and you go down, you basically train to be a lifeguard, and then when you turn 18, you take the test. But I was maybe 12 or 13, I was getting ready to go to high school, and we're at the beach, and I remember we were doing the CPR deal, on the CPR dummies, and one of my buddies was dude, you got to come see this, and so we were all watching, and we went over to the boardwalk, and Lyle Alzado was walking down the boardwalk in a pair of shorts and a fucking tank top, like a homemade t-shirt where he had cut it himself.
Yeah.
He was walking and his chest was so fucking big that he could have put a Coke can on top of his chest and it would have comfortably, because it came out like a shelf so big. And this dude was literally just walking down with I don't know, I think he was with a blonde chick. And we were just like this. Saw him go by. People were fucking partying the sea and staring at him. And Alzado had to be 300 plus pounds. I mean, was fucking massive. And then we sat there and we followed him. And there was from where the beach is to the top, where the parking lot is probably about 125 yard ramp. And it's pretty fucking steep. When we were kids, we had to rest 5 times. And he fucking ran that ramp, ran up and came back down and ran the ramp 5 or 10 times. I remember being that was the first time I'd really ever seen anybody that looked like Lala, anybody with muscles. Mm-hmm. I mean, just because you just saw it. And then that next year, I guess would be my 8th grade year, Chris Shell, who was Art Shell's son, went to my school and we became friends, and I got to go to the Raiders games. And I got to go in the locker room and I got to meet Howie Long, and I got to Lyle Alzado and Bob Golick, and I got to see these dudes. And it was really I remember thinking to myself oh, I don't know what these guys are doing, but I want to look like that. These dudes are jacked.
I want that. So,
And so that was really my entrance into it. And then I went to high school and was let's bang some weights. But I mean, I can only fucking imagine as a 15-year-old kid with the internet, with all this other bullshit, Instagram, social media, all these other things. I mean,
it's just the skewed reality of what's important. I look back at what the fuck I thought was important then, and you're so easily influenced as a stupid young male. Well, it's embarrassing.
Well, no, but so Bert had a pretty good fucking go of it in that his dad was already into it and was hey, this is how it's going to go. I told my dad, and you're going to laugh at this. I told my dad, I said, Dad, I want to lift weights and I want to get a gym membership. And my dad's like, that's fucking stupid. It's just counting to 10 over and over again. That's never going to fucking take you anywhere. Mm-hmm. I completely dismissed it.
Yeah, because it's 5s. I mean, right?
You're supposed to who would do 10?
No, he said you count to 10 over and over again.
I know. Okay.
So he tells me that, and I remember, they've heard this story too, a couple of years before, I used to be a real fast runner, and then I grew, and I was kind of uncoordinated. And I remember telling my mom, I was like pretty upset. I was like, dude, I'm not as fast as I used to be. Like, is there somebody that we can find to teach me how to run? And my mom's like, oh, that's a pretty good idea. And so she asked my dad. My dad's like, we're not wasting any fucking money on that. And he blew her off. So then when the gym membership thing happened, I remember my mom was like, I asked my mom, I was kind of bummed. And she's like, don't worry about it. Like, whatever. It was like fucking 24-hour fitness. I'll give you like the $9 to go do it. So my mom would drive me to the gym, and then I would lift weights at school, and then she'd pick me up and then drive me to the gym, and I would lift weights. And because I mean that's what every 13, 14-year-old kid should do, is train twice a day.
Yeah,
and then and then that's kind of what and then thank God, and then and then that's when I met George Zangus. The next year was, and if I had met Zangus, I would have been completely off the fucking reservation. And so, yeah, let me train in Zangus's garage. But, so for like guys like me, whose, parents were never into it. I mean, so to actually have somebody like Bert's dad who had equipment and knew what the fuck he was doing, or like even be able to, for you to see it, which is pretty amazing. Like people love to shit on CrossFit, and it's pretty amazing that people do. And the one thing which I will say CrossFit has done is it has done more to get barbells in people's hands than any single person other than Arnold Schwarzenegger in terms of training. And you made a great point pre-2008. And I like to talk about like the gym and the training pre-CrossFit opposed to post-CrossFit, and it's usually 07, 08. So I had to drive an hour up to Carson, which is, as Luke knows, can be anywhere from 45 minutes to fucking 3 hours depending on LA traffic. I had to drive up there just to find a training facility, which was at the Home Depot Center where Athletes Performance was, a place I could Olympic lift and actually train, because there was 0 places in Orange County. There was one like in South County about 20 or 30 minutes away that I could Olympic lift, but there was no platforms, nothing. And, and nobody was doing any form of athletic training. So now post CrossFit, I mean, fuck, we could find 50 places within a square mile here to go fucking Olympic lift.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when I was coming up, you knew every dude in the 50-mile radius that knew how to clean. You knew all of them because you've all trained together.
Yeah. And
now I look around and go, there's a CrossFit on every corner. Like, I knew there was like 2 guys in Columbia, South Carolina, almost 1 million people, 2 dudes that could clean over 315 15 years ago. Like, now every CrossFit has at least a couple guys that could do that. But it's awesome that the whole bar has been moved up. But gosh, like, people just don't realize how good they have it for the education and just information. And there were no videos on how to power clean 20 years ago. Like, maybe one weird one you got from like some clinic from the 1980s.
Well, the first time I actually got to see a video of somebody doing the Olympic lifts was actually Todd Rice. Todd Rice had had been over to the Eastern Bloc, had been to like Bulgaria and Poland and Russia, and had these fucking VHS videos of these training at a training hall. And like, I remember they were all wearing like Olympic shoes, no socks, sweatpants, no underwear, and no t-shirts. And they were all fucking smoking cigarettes.
Yes.
Like literally like this, like flicking it, and then like snatching like 180 kilos for like a fast triple, and then like walking over, and then they were doing plyometrics. They were setting broomsticks in squat racks, like an Ironman squat rack. They were sitting at different heights, and then they were literally just taking like one step and then jumping over it, and then they were all like literally like taking a cigarette, putting it out, and then jumping over this fucking bar that's like at chest height. And it was the first time I'd really ever seen anybody Olympic lift well. And I remember watching and being like, "Oh, this makes so much sense." Like seeing like the tension in the pole, and I'm like, because I'm a visual learner. Like if you can show me what you want, I'm like a autistic monkey. I can fucking mimic you. And so seeing that, like, that was huge for me. But I mean, dude, my first pair of Olympic lifting shoes, I had to fill out an order form, put a check in it, and send it. Yeah. And I got my Olympic lifting shoes like 6 weeks later. And I had those for 10 fucking years and carried them with me because they were so hard to get. And you just pray to God that you got the right size, because I know like a whole bunch of dudes ordered them and they were like trading, and they're like, fuck, now I don't have the right size. I got to order. Fuck it. I'll just put fucking. Right.
Like, did you have the Poland ones that you have to trace your foot, or did you have the Pignotti? I had Italian Pignottis. They look like really shitty bowling shoes.
I had Adidas. They were black and white Adidas with a wooden sole that had a black strap across the top. And I had those things forever. And then I finally replaced them with like the carbon fiber Adidas. and I still have those. And I actually bought
2004s.
Yeah, I bought two pairs, and I alternate between them, and I still have them to this day, and I won't try any others.
Right. No, I'm still training on my 2004 Adidas right now, and Matt Vincent was making fun of me about it because he has these really, really spicy looking whatevers he's wearing, and mine still have like blood on them, and like they're all cracked up where I've thrown them against the wall when I've missed a lift, and they're all crappy looking. But it's kind of like going fishing, on someone's boat. You don't take the rod that doesn't have a bunch of scales and blood on it, right? Like you want the one that's rip some lips. I was like, yeah, I'll keep mine. I'm all right with them.
Well, and there's even some hunting with that. I mean, there's definitely some guns in my
sure.
gun collection that are pretty nice, but like if I'm going to something, I got to kill it. There only is like one gun I reach for, and it's actually a 300 Win Mag. So like I know it's overkill. Like people are like, oh, plenty at 240, this. I'm like 270. I'm like actually I like the 300 Win Mag. They're why it's like walks away from the Win Mag.
Yeah, bring the Win Mag. Yeah, I'm a Win Mag fan myself. Yeah, I agree, and that's the same with the guns. Like I want the one that has a bunch of hair and crap on it that you've laid it down, and I agree. I'm a big gun guy. We could go on a whole other podcast about that.
Well, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, man, let's do this.
What would be your 300 Win Mag would be your favorite caliber?
That's probably overall. Like if I had to hunt anywhere in the world, 300 Win Mag. I have a Remington custom shop Kevlar stock mountain rifle that I got probably 20 years ago. And it's killed more than smallpox, man. It's been crazy. It's great. I carry a lot. I have a Remington Model 7, this little kid gun, and it's a stainless steel. I got it all accurized. It's a 708, and I like that because I could stalk through the woods really well with it. I could climb, and it's almost like a long pistol. And for some reason, I just have really, really good confidence in it, and I've killed jillions of things with that too. Those are my two go-tos. With the Win Mag, if I'm going unknown places and I got to shoot something and make it fall down, that's the one I'm doing.
Yeah, and for me, that 300 Win Mag is kind of my go-to. Even though I recently bought this year a Browning BLR, their lever action, like the takedown, the 308.
Cool gun.
And I'm really, really excited about that. It's kind of a scout setup, and in terms of lever action, because California is kind of weird now, where
now.
Oh, I know, dude, it's super fucking weird. But now, because it's featureless, I mean, it doesn't have a foregrip, it doesn't have a hand grip, it's lever action. Even though it's a box loader, it's not considered a semi-auto. So it's kind of one of those things where you could probably hunt anywhere in California very easily with it. And what's nice is it collapses down and fits into probably about a 26-inch or even a 30-inch case, so it fits real easy to travel. And I ended up threading out the barrel and putting a flash hider on it. So I've been really excited to get out to the range and start shooting with that.
Yeah.
I think that would be a nice one to shoot. But yeah, that I've hunted with just about everything, and for some reason that 308 my 300 Win Mag has knocked the pants out of everything. So
yeah,
I'm
it's made to do, man. Yeah, now, can you guys run cans, your suppressors on your guns up there, or no?
No, all my NFA stuff is out of state in a safety deposit box, and hopefully one day when we move, I'll be able to actually go collect it. So,
yeah, right.
Well, yeah, I mean, because I've lived in other places, so I have collected certain things, and I don't like to do stuff, so they reside in other places, and hopefully one day I'll bring them in. But no, California is no suppressors, no SBRs. They got a weird deal with. I think they call them AOLs or AOWs, where you can kind of have like this weird SBS where you can have kind of a short barrel shotgun kind of deal. And it's kind of my buddy busted it out, and it's kind of like kind of like a tax stamp, but not really. It's kind of strange. He explained it to me, and I really couldn't figure it out. But oddly enough, you can't have like a judge. So judges aren't legal in California because
really
a shotgun. Or you can't shoot a shotgun shell out of a
right.
So
gotcha.
Yeah, just kind of wacky shit. Like California's always coming up with some weird fucking rules. I mean, every time periodically I get an email from there's a deal called Calguns. That's like kind of a big proponent of weapons here, and they're like Calgun sues the DOJ, and so they always, and I'm on their mailing list, so I'll get updates occasionally. And when I look at the laws that they're fighting. I'll read the law and I'll read it like 5 or 6 times and I'll be like, what the fuck are they talking about? And we train a bunch of the law enforcement guys around here, and they're a bunch of buddies of ours. I'm always asking them, I'll be like, have you heard of this? And they're like, dude, the only people that know less about gun laws are the cops here in California. They don't know fucking anything. And these guys are like, he's like, dude, it's impossible to keep up, and so it's a kind of a waste of our time to even do it. I mean, shit, I went through the CCW process out here, and it took me, I want to say, almost 9 months to get my CCW here in California, and I've had CCWs in other states where you just go and give a fingerprint, you get it that fucking day. So
sure. Well, if you're in South Carolina, so come down. They pretty much let us do anything here, which is nice. It's like us in Texas. You're riding down the road, cop pulls you over. You're like, hey, I got a gun. He's like, well, good, you should have one. All right, well, you're speeding. Like,
well, it's kind of like if you didn't have a gun, he was probably going to arrest you or take you to a place to have a gun.
Right. Because he knows something's wrong if you don't have one.
My buddies, I got invited to a charity deal a couple of years ago for the Silent Warrior Foundation, and they had a pig hunt out in Texas, and so we show up to it, and it's like probably about an hour outside of San Antonio, and like so we fly in, whatever, rent a car, we drive in, and so we get to the house, like pretty nice hunt lodge where we're staying, and the lady goes, hey, while you're waiting for everybody, if you guys want to go out and sight your rifles and just confirm zero, the bench is over there. There's shots. She kind of points us over there and said, you can go out there and shoot out. I think we got 50 and 100 set up, and we're like, great. So we go out there and we're kind of everybody's kind of getting dialed up, and we're kind of looking around and make sure we range it, make sure it's legit. And she comes out and brings us like a whole bunch of beers, and I'm like sitting out there on these 2 benches, and the benches, mind you, are about 10 feet from the road, so cars are driving by, and where the targets was kind of off at probably about 45, 30 degree angle this way, and there's houses on the left and the right, so we're basically shooting between 2 houses on a picnic table where like right near the road, and we're set up and we're out there drinking beers, and
just trying to imagine that happened in Newport Beach.
No cops, no helicopters, no National Guard, and literally we were out there shooting guns, just out there drinking beers, and people driving by honking and waving, and I literally started laughing, thinking, if this was in Orange County, LA, Newport Beach, California, right now, the National Guard SWAT would be fucking out of course.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, most of the stuff we've done, Vincent came down, Matzo came down, and I don't know if you saw his video. Yeah, Matzo. Yeah. and he came down, and we went out and shoot, and we had this can shooter thing. It goes on the end of an AR, and it fires out full beers about 100 yards out. So we were shooting those. We were drinking them and then shooting them out, and then shooting them out of the air with shotguns. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, like you look and you're like, wow, this is awesome. It's America. And then some places you'd get put in jail forever. And then other places, cops are like, hey, cool, you are shooting a bunch. Can I try that too? You're like, yeah, of course. It's weird. No one gets hurt when you do that stuff. It was wild.
We were down in Texas, and Jeff Gonzalez, who's a good friend of ours, he has Triton Concepts, and he's a former SEAL team guy, and just super great guy in terms of like training, and travels all around the country, sure. And does a bunch of weapon stuff, and he's comes to pick us up, comes to our seminar, and so we go get in his truck, and he's like, oh, dude, check this out, and this is the first time I've really ever heard about truck guns. Like there's this whole deal where like people literally go out and they build a gun specifically for their truck, and it's usually some little nasty SBR with like a 7-inch barrel, and just like something that you could like reach in the back and like maneuver while you're driving. And so he like busts out like nasty little like 7.5-inch barrel piston LWRC SBR that like was like, looking at it, you probably would have just gone to jail in California for fucking ever. And like he busts this thing out. I'm like, that thing is fucking awesome. He's like, oh yeah, it's a truck gun. And I'm like, oh what? He's like, it's called a truck gun in Texas. Everybody has a truck gun. Like, and he's like, it's a deal. It's like custom cowboy boots. Like you got to have a truck gun. And so he was taking us through it. And I'm like, he's like, oh yeah, everybody has them. He's like, it's like an accessory. I mean, and this thing.
Yeah, it's like a handkerchief, a good knife, and a truck gun.
Yeah. He busted this thing out. I was like, God damn it, that thing is nasty. So yeah, that was ever then I'm like, I'm gonna move to Texas for the mere fact that we can sight rifles and have basically barking cricket of guns. Remember? But yeah, You know what? And it's kind of weird here in California. I think they over legislate things so much that it almost like creates a hysteria with it. Where
sure,
you know, you grow up in a way like you grow up around weapons, and they, you know, like, hey, you go hunt, you do this, and it's not really a big deal. And I think like when you start creating this like, you know, demonizing image around them. Like people become fucking strangely obsessive and weird about them. And it's
the worst thing is when guys from the Northeast come down and they're like, can we like go fire guns? I'm like, you mean like go shoot? Sure. And their guys are like psychos. They're like, this is amazing. Like bang, bang, bang. I'm like, whoa, you know, muscle control, man. And like it's so funny because they can't get them. They just go crazy. I mean, like you see this hysteria, like you're saying, because this Pandora's box and this thing the taboo. It's like, dude, just grow up around them. It's fine. Like you don't. I like them, but you know they're a tool. They're good to have.
I just want to shift gears here real quick because Bert, I know you're short on time. Tell me what John and I are missing here with the Summer Strong deal.
Okay, sorry. I know we went into gun realm. Summer Strong. All right, here's the deal. So this coming, not this weekend, but next, May 20, 21, 22. It's our 9th year doing it. It basically started as my dad's birthday party 9 years ago. He said, I was like, hey, Pops, what do you want for your birthday? He's like, I don't know, just invite a bunch of dudes over. We'll train. We'll cook some food. We'll drink some beers and open up the gym and just let's have some fun. Well, that first year, I think we had 5 different states. 30 or 40 people showed up, and it was awesome. Just all these people come jumping in. So the next year we said, well, crap, let's do it again. Well, this year we've started making it more and more official, as much as you want to say that. This year we're having 4 or 5 different countries of people from all over the country are coming. And I start bringing in, the premise of it is, because of Sorin X and because of the Iron Game lifestyle, I could contact really, really awesome people, much like yourselves. I could get in and get to be friends and at least learn from some amazing, extraordinary people, whether it be generally the Iron Game, but it could be the hunting industry, the music industry, whatever. And so it's my time. It's morphed into this thing where it's my time every year to pull my favorite people from all over the country and all over the world and all the relationships I've had over the years. And we basically have one big, fat, happy family reunion and bring new people into the fold that may not know people. And it, you kind of, I said, well, this guy's really good at Olympic lifting. This guy's really good at powerlifting. This guy's really good at nutrition. This guy's NFL. This guy's, MMA. This one, it's CrossFit. And you put everyone in the same room. You shake up the room and just see what happens. So it's really loose. And what has kind of started becoming is a little bit of the who's who and the underground who kind of really runs the strength world. Some big names are starting to really flock to it. And it's an event we don't look to make cash on. We try to cover our costs. I still go tens of thousands of dollars into the hole every year on it. But it's our opportunity to give back and to pull these people that might usually charge thousands of dollars a day. They'll show up and give freely for an hour their information because they see the value that they get to sit in the audience for the next few hours and learn from other best and greatest in the sport. So it's a time for the high ups to actually sharpen their sword too. So it's a really cool event. It's my favorite weekend of the year. I'd love for you guys to come. I would be honored. And anyone listening, I would love for you guys to come hang out with us.
Yeah, so I'm poking around the SummerStrongExpo.com, and we're just on the old Hall of Fame. And it's a pretty cool list of characters you have out there, man.
Fuck yeah.
There's a few of them that have come to been pretty solid, I have to say.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, I'll be making my way down there from DC, and I find it interesting. I just go to 2 or 3 conferences a year for all these certifications just to keep them up, and this is probably the only one I'm actually going to sit on every single lecture instead of just CEUs. Yeah,
you can't miss anything because it's been nice the last couple of years. The NSCA and the CSCCA has actually stepped up and given us CEUs for it. But the cool part is because we're not affiliated officially with anybody, We don't have to necessarily scratch anyone's back. And so everything is very raw, very real. I would say no less than 3 or 4 presentations, there'll be waterworks. Someone's going to start crying. Someone's going to start feeling something. And everyone just opens up their heart. It's really amazing that you see these people that are, the top of their game, and then just getting up like, last year, Brandon Lilly, it was fantastic. He showed up on crutches, with the pick still in his arm, giving him antibiotics. And he got up there and says, well, hey, I was going to talk about deadlifting, but F that, not doing it. Here's the deal. And just basically poured his heart out for an hour about the strength game, what it's meant to him, what it hasn't meant to him, where he screwed up in his life chasing the rabbit, where things he thought he should have done better, places where he put lifting in front of his family. And like, there's these grown men strength coaches, and they're just bawling like kids. Listen to this. And it was completely unscripted, and everyone just kind of stood up after that and went like, what the hell just happened? And that it was happening every few hours. Someone would go, okay, well, cool. You're going to put your balls on the table and open up your heart and your guts. All right, I'll do it too. And the stuff that people were able to talk about and experience was just second to none. So, will it be like that this year? I don't know. It seems like stuff like that happens every year. I mean, 2 years ago we had some Navy SEALs and some MARSOC guys waterboard one of my employees. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I like it. Fuck, man, I'm sad that we are doing this podcast now. I mean, I got to go this weekend to Virginia Beach, and my wife would kick my ass to leave twice. But fuck, man, I'd definitely like to. I'd like to get on your radar for next year.
Yeah, Summer Strong 10's the one.
Summer Strong 10 is gonna be sick. We've already kind of figured out the how that's gonna work. The old Bosco family reunion and strength revival. We want to do it like the old tents back in the deep South strength revival. So it would be awesome.
Count us in, dude. I'll definitely try. Yeah, I'll be there next year. So yeah,
that'd be awesome.
This year,
love to have you.
I'll definitely be there. So no, that's
gonna have Tex doing some scouting for you this year.
Yeah, well, Tex is pretty good. I always tell him, go name drop me like a motherfucker, and I'm glad that you do, Tex. Tex is like, don't worry, I dropped that bitch like fucking like mic drop.
Oh, well, he hammered it in Texas for you, man.
I'm only 5'8", so I'm not much to look at all these conventions, but I dropped the name Wellborn, and then I get pierced.
And they'll be like, motherfucker, I never liked that fucking asshole.
Get that one person.
Oh, yeah, he's like,
all right.
Oh, yeah, no. I like the funny part was somebody shot me an email the other day, and I can't remember his name. His name's Brent. He was our assistant at Kansas City, and I want to say he's at the Vikings right now. And they were like singing this dude's praise, and like they sent me over. This guy's doing all this great stuff, and I like looked and I was like, "Fuck! I think I used to fuck with that kid nonstop." And like I was trying to like remember, and I texted with my buddy. He's like, "Oh yeah, we used to totally fuck with that dude." And he was our like the lowly assistant that had to like show up and do all the stupid shit. So it's always funny to see how like people grow into who they are, and
sure.
It's like
get into the game.
Well, it's like Kaz. I mean, Kaz was our assistant, and I always loved Kaz. Kaz was fucking cool cat. I mean, we'd like see him like, Kaz, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, come on, Al, we'll take you out to dinner. So we used to always like hang out with Kaz. And then like the funny part was when I went out to Baylor and I see him, he was like telling these guys, he's like, when I was a lowly piece of shit assistant in the NFL and nobody fucking did this, like these guys would buy me dinner and fucking kick me some cash for a Christmas present and take care of me and like talk to me about like how to work with guys and how to like let me give you a little hint on this. And now Kaz has really grown into probably one of the best strength coaches out there, and he's producing kids left and right at Baylor. So it's pretty funny.
Yeah, he's amazing.
I mean, and it's what's cool is to see guys really grow in the process and then see who they've come into, and like mentally you don't really, at least for me, time is kind of goes fast. So I'm like, fuck, how long has it been? Jesus Christ. Yeah. Fucking 7-8 years ago. So it's cool to see where he's at and then to see him commanding that whole deal. So it was I'm always pumped to see where these guys go.
Well, it's a great show, man.
I know we jumped all over the place, but I enjoyed it.
No, it's great, dude. We got to talk about movies. We got to talk about food. We got to talk about fucking lifting weights.
Yeah.
We talk about guns, and we got to talk about college. And Summer Strong.
And the beef quake of them all. The Summer Strong with how many beef you get.
There'll be a lot of meaty dudes, dudes pouring their hearts out, just fucking, it's kind of like the real world of strength when things stop.
Right.
pretending.
Right. And then we do have call outs. We have a 1 hour that is open gym call outs. And so all bets are settled and all shit talking settled for the whole year in 1 hour.
Strength.
Exactly. It's like Mandelbaum. It's like right there. It's right. It's like, oh yeah? And then it's just on. And you basically get challenged in front of hundreds of people and you just have to man up right then. It's great.
You're like, I'm going to look like a bitch right here, but fucking bring it anyway.
Let's do it.
You got to do it, man. We'd love to have you guys there next year for sure. And if for some reason that you could go to Virginia Beach and then can convince your wife that you need to stick around for another extra 7 days.
Oh, fuck. She, it's pretty funny. My wife's a wonderful person. And so, and I say that for the me in my heart, she is a fucking saint. I remember I was like, we got like 40 or 50 heads in Virginia Beach. I think I got to travel for this one. And she like, her eyes got kind of big and she's like, really? I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh, okay. I'm like, because, the little guy just started sleeping and he's still having a rough deal of it. And the girls. And so I think it's not necessarily that my wife wants me around. I just think she needs somebody.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that if I could just like contract somebody that kind of like, actually, what I think I could do is if I just got like a big picture of myself, like one of those like cardboard cutouts, and we just kind of like glued it on somebody, like she wouldn't even notice.
And it just had like a tape recorder that every 30 minutes said, "Hey,
hey, quit walking around! Jesus, get over here! Fuck,
go to bed."
Yeah, that's it. You've been to the house. So yeah, nice. If I gotta fucking come in here again, no more Doc McStuffins. That's like my threat. They're like, you're a terrorist. Yeah, you're a terrible person. You're not going to let us watch Doc McStuffins. I'm like, so then I have to go out and like see which shows they're watching, and then I have to threaten to take those shows away because they'll be like, we don't even watch that show anymore. I'm like, fuck, what show do they watch now?
Yeah, she doesn't like Dora anymore. Who doesn't like Dora? Come on.
Oh, dude, no, it was like we were watching Doc McStuffins, and now they've been watching the Star Wars Rebel. There's like
there's Star Wars.
They're all Star Wars now. They love that. My daughter's nice. She's all about Star Wars. Whereas my one daughter is will sit in front of the TV for hours with like her mouth open. I'm pretty sure flies will land in there. And then when my other daughter gets bored within like 2 minutes and like wants to go fucking cut paper into a million little pieces, I'll literally find hundreds of little pieces of paper all over the house from her cutting paper into little pieces.
Nice. Well, my kid watches dinosaurs, and then there's like the real kind of videos that look somewhat real, and then he sees the raptors attack the other dinosaurs and tear their guts out. So then he chases me through the house and literally bites my legs, trying to tear my skin off my legs because he wants to be a raptor, which is pretty awesome. You got to keep that aggression up there, so I don't really, I don't really fight him on that.
Great. I mean, that's how they should be raised. I mean,
ready to rip the flesh off the bone.
Yeah, I mean, like the only thing other is like we have 2 dogs, and so my 2 pit bulls play with the kids, and like watching the dogs out and the kids fight outside for like toys is fucking one of the most joyous occasions of my life. I'm like, oh shit, the dog got a hold of their toy, and they're out there like screaming and chasing them. It's fucking great. Fighting. I'm like, don't those pit bulls push you around? And then they we have a trampoline, and so the kids will jump in the trampoline, and the dogs jump up and get in the trampoline and chase them and bite them. And
perfect.
Screaming. It's pretty hilarious. And my wife and I get like a lot of hours. They'll be like, Vinny, Louie, get out of here. And they like kick them out and like yank them by the ears. And I'm like, this fucking neighbors probably think like I'm like white trash or something. So I got a bunch of shitty old diesel trucks. I got kids and dogs and pit bulls, and it's good.
Perfect. You're from South Carolina.
I know, exactly. I got enough crappy diesel trucks.
So, hey, Bert, before we pop off here, do you have anything you want people to check out at Sorin? Like, what's popping up? What do people need to buy? Got any deals?
Oh, man. Well, the center mass bells, I think they're kind of changing how people are viewing dumbbells, kettlebells, stuff like that. That's been hot for us. Exciting. Just get basically more acquainted with, we don't always do the super, super, super high-end awesome stuff. That's what we show a lot of, but I think people need to realize they could also have bitchin' equipment in their house if they want it, and it just won't break the bank. We just don't really show that stuff because, honestly, it's not fun to see.
Yeah, sure.
But, that's some of the stuff, man. Just check us out, and you can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, all those fun things. And just love to have smart people that are passionate about the iron game. Come out and chat with us. And if you want some gear, cool, we got that too.
Beautiful, man. Hey, thanks for taking the time. I'm again glad we could finally get a time going today. So it's awesome.
Yeah, man, I really, really enjoyed this. We need to do it more, whether it's on camera or not, or definitely with beer stuff.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Count on that.
All right,
Perfect.
Take care, buddy.
Yes.
Thanks, guys. Hey, brother. See you. I'll see you down there in about a week. Later.
Sir.
Now it's time for you to empower your performance. You heard it. The Sorin Summer Strong Expo is literally happening now. If you're in or around Columbia, South Carolina and listening to this, get your ass to the event ASAP. The great minds and bodies of strength and performance are coming together to impart their knowledge on you. Head to summerstrongexpo.com for more information on the event, guests, and local accommodations. Don't forget to follow Sorin on Instagram @SorinX. Until next time, bye!